Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, ahead of Wednesday's big Champions League match between Juventus and Manchester City. I'm delighted to welcome onto the show a big Manchester City guest. She is the presenter of Manchester City FC, as well as a broadcaster and presenter for many TV and radio shows such as Talk Sport, BBC 5 Live, Race Day TV, and she also co-hosts the No Tippy Tappy Football podcast with former England manager Sam Allardyce, Big Sam. Also a very successful model as well. So I'm delighted to welcome onto the show Natalie Pike. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hey, oh, well, that was some introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'm okay, thank you. It was a manic, busy weekend. I was at the City men's game on Saturday at Crystal Palace, and then I was working the City women's game yesterday. They played Leicester, so there's a bit of a storm in this country at the minute as well. So it's been a busy, fun weekend. Yeah,
I saw you getting blown all over the place. Your hair everywhere.
Yeah, not recovered.
Yeah. No, it looks great. It looks great. So for those of you that are listening, we are doing this on our YouTube channel as well. I've got my Juventus shirt on. I'm just going to show it to everyone. See if you can guess what year that's from. Do you have any idea, Natalie?
No idea. No offense, but Juventus shirts always just look black and white stripes to me.
Okay, right. I'm going to give a clue to everyone. It was a season when we actually played Manchester City. Juventus actually played Manchester City twice, but it's quite a while ago. So I'll just leave that out there for everybody that's watching. So before we talk about Juventus versus City, I just want to talk a little bit, introduce you to everyone. I know everybody knows you really well in the UK, of course, and beyond, but a lot of our audience is across the globe. So you are the presenter of Manchester City FC, pretty much, I mean, I would say pretty much the face of Man City's media outfit. As a lifelong Man City fan, I mean, this must be quite much a dream job for you.
Yeah, it really is. So I started supporting City in 1993, and I got my first season ticket in 1998. I was 15 and I saved up all my pocket money for a year, my birthday money, my Christmas money, and I got a season ticket in the 98-99 season when we were in Division 2, and the season ticket cost me £150, and I saved for a year for that, yeah. So I really am a lifelong Manchester City fans. So to work for the club that you have loved your whole life, it is very much a dream job. I mean, it comes with the only downside to it really is that you never get to watch a game as a fan anymore. So I work every game. So like when I'm watching the games, I'm always thinking about what we're going to talk about at half time, or, what am I seeing? And I'm writing questions, and you never just get to go and just balloon out with your friends and just, have a blowout and just enjoy it and just sing. And so I think that's the only very slight downside, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, that is part of being a journalist. I mean, even just preparing for the podcast, I watch games and, something comes up that I'm thinking, right, I'm going to talk about that in the pod, and you make a note of it, and you can't just sit back and enjoy the game. What do you enjoy most about your job, and what has been your favourite moment, or I say game, or maybe interview, like as a presenter at City?
Well, I've had so many. It's been such a blessing. I mean, the fact that I get paid to go back to watching the club that I've supported my whole life is unbelievable. The fact that I'm watch every single game as part of my job, which is something I would have been doing and was always doing before I had this job either. That's an unbelievable blessing that I'm so grateful for. In terms of the biggest moments, I mean, I'm really lucky either as a fan or as I've been working. I've been at every single major Manchester City game of the last 30 years. I was at the playoff final in 1999 when we got promoted from Division 2 to Division 1. I've been at every time we've won an FA Cup, a League Cup. I've been there. I've been at every single Premier League that we've won. I've presented every single Premier League winners parade that the club has had over. I've been the presenter. last year, the one that we had in May, I was on the bus with the players. So I've had, unbelievable experiences. I did Erling Haaland's first ever interview when he came to the club, which was unbelievable. But I think the thing that tops it all is the Champions League final. So we did a show pitch side from the Champions League final, and we watched them lift the trophy from the side of the pitch. So I don't think anything will top that.
No, that was Istanbul, wasn't it?
Yeah, Istanbul.
Yeah. Against Inter, who my co-host Nima, that's his team.
Oh, really? Okay. So is that why he's not here?
Probably. No, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah, no, that was memorable, certainly for all City fans. So what you've said, I was going to ask you when you started supporting City. You've already told me. Who was your City idol growing up as a kid?
Sean Goater. Does that name mean anything to you?
The goat, yeah. Feed the goat, yeah.
Feed the goat and he will score. So he was the best player I'd ever seen in real life. Up until the recent generation, I loved him, and I'm blessed that I work with him all the time now. And sometimes I'll get a message through from him, and I'll be like, oh my God, if I could have told my 15-year-old self this, she never would have believed me. Yeah. And I have a painting of him in my downstairs toilet, which he always laughs about. Of him scoring past Fabian Barthez. Yes, my downstairs toilet, Sean Goater scoring past Fabian Barthez in a Manchester derby is what you will see if you are ever in my toilet.
Oh wow! Wow, that was that the 3? That was the 3-2. Was it a 3-2 or he scored 2? He scored 2. Didn't he?
3-2, I think it was. Yeah, we won, and it's so he nabbed the ball off Gary Neville on the byline, pulled it back.
Even better, yeah.
Oh, it's glorious.
Okay, brilliant. Well, so that's your history as a City fan. I want to talk about. We'll come back to City in the preview in a bit. I want to talk about the tippy tappy or no tippy tappy.
No tippy tappy.
Yeah,
yes.
That's the key with Sam Allardyce, Big Sam, former England manager. Which I think is great. And like our own podcast, the Italian Football Podcast, recently you won an award at the Football Content Awards at Tottenham Hotspur. Tell us about the podcast, like what how it came about, what's great about it, and also what's it like working with Big Sam.
So we started it 2 years ago, which was for the World Cup. I'm just getting my tournaments right. For the World Cup that was held 2 years ago, it was supposed to just be a short. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
2022, yeah. It was this time 2 years ago, December.
God, the time merges. I was thinking, was that World Cup 2 years ago? Yeah, it was that World Cup. So we were doing it just for that, and it was going to be just 8 episodes, and then it did really well, and Sam really enjoyed it, and the numbers were really good. So we carried it on after the World Cup, and we were going to do it then till the end of the Premier League season. So we did that. So it's a weekly podcast, and we have a different guest on. Generally, it's a former player or former manager. Usually, it's somebody that Sam knows. And we do a weekly podcast and it goes on YouTube as well, where we talk about our guest, sort of their career, their links with Sam, but also we talk about whatever's happening in football at the time. And it's great because Sam is such a football man. He loves football. He loves talking about football, and he's not managing at the minute. Obviously, I know he would love to be managing at the minute, but he loves going in every week and just having a few hours to just sit with people he likes and to just talk about football. And I think that really comes through. And he's great. He's very dry. He's very honest. Sometimes I think we edit some things out sometimes. But yeah, no, he's just great, and I really enjoy it. And it's just people sat around talking about football, which is just glorious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've interviewed Big Sam before quite a few years ago at a soccer aid. He was the manager, I think. Thinking back, it's quite a while ago. Yeah, he was soccer manager, and I enjoyed the interview. I think he's. I think that. I always say with any football show and with a podcast that you need 2 things really for it to be a success. You need that knowledge and insight, of course you do, but you also need the other side. You need it needs to be entertaining as well. You need a bit of personality from the host and the guests, and you need a bit of banter, a bit of chemistry between and I think you guys do that really well. So I think you guys have done great. So well done on that. And
thank you.
I would just say to everybody listening, at the end of the show, I'll ask you where people can follow you and everything. But I would definitely say to everyone that's listening to check out the No Tippy Tappy Football Podcast.
Thank you. Me too.
Right.
I second you.
Yeah, I said it for you. Right. So just going a little bit further back, the noughties. I hate that term, the noughties.
Yeah.
You were one of the UK's top models, most famously for FHM. What did you enjoy most about that time working as a model with the lad mags? And is there anything that maybe you didn't like about that time?
Yeah, it's funny, because that's like 20 years ago now when I did that. And I think looking back, we are so blessed that camera phones didn't exist and that we had such a good time in the moment. We were experiencing everything that we did back then without social media and without camera phones, because I don't like that. That would have been a lot back then. But I loved the experiences that I had, and I traveled around the world, and I went to incredible places and met such a variety of people. And, to be 21 years old and to be on the cover of the biggest men's magazine in the world was just such an incredible experience that I'm so grateful I had that experience. I think, because I got into modeling through winning a competition, I don't think modeling was ever something I ever aspired to do. I'm not like, I think like most of us, I'm quite an insecure person really. And to be in a position where you're in a job where you are completely and 100% judged by your looks, I think that over the years, that's quite hard to deal with. And by the time that I left modeling, so I modeled for about 6 or 7 years. I was in a position where I was having to phone my agent weekly and tell them what my weight was.
Oh, wow.
And that it just wasn't for me. Like that just really, I wasn't a confident enough person to be able to deal with having to, worry about that sort of thing. And also I didn't want
Were
to.
they really strict? Were they really strict? Yeah.
They're really. I mean, it's funny. It's not so much in the men's magazines because actually, men's magazines of the noughties were very accepting of curves and of larger women, and some of the most successful models, if you think back, they were big women, like in comparison to the sort of standard like stick thin woman that was in fashion. So I think the lads magazine was lads magazines were actually really great at that. But when I kind of stopped doing the lads magazines and moved more into like the commercial modeling world, that's where they were really, really strict. So I left, and in my sort of late 20s, I got a normal 9-to-5 job. I worked in fundraising, in corporate fundraising for a variety of charities, and I did that for like the next 10 years before I sort of went into this presenting thing full time.
Yeah, that's quite a journey for sure. Who are you? I mean, I used to buy FHM as a teenager, like going back ages now. I probably had you in. I probably had a poster of you in my bedroom. I should say. I'd be careful with my words there. You were. I mean, who were your big rivals? Who were your big rivals back then? Was there a rivalry? Because I remember Jordan versus Jodie Marsh. I don't know whether that's what you'd be compared to them. I don't know, but I remember them two. There was always, are you Team Jordan? Are you Team Jodie Marsh?
I mean, they did incredible with that marketing, didn't they? No, we didn't. So we were because I won the FHM High Street Honeys. There was a group of 4 or 5 of us that won it over sort of different years. So we were a little group together. We never really had any. We were the girls next door, so we never had really. We didn't buy into that rivalry. Like I've always just been, I think, a champion of women. Always a champion of women. To now, if I think somebody's doing great, I'm the woman that'll always go, oh my God, you look amazing. Oh my God, you're doing so great. So no, we were never like that. But obviously the High Street Honeys were such a big brand back then, such a big thing back then. It's crazy when you mention it to people these days and they don't remember it, because obviously 20 years ago it was everything.
Yeah, it was. It certainly was. Okay, well, let's talk about the game then.
Do we have to?
Oh, really? Oh, we have to. Carry on talking about Jordan and Jodie Marsh.
Yeah.
Listen, you've got nothing to worry about. Let me tell you that now. The way that Juventus
I say the same to you. Have you seen us?
Well, at least you can get a team out. I mean, Juventus can barely get. We have to get some players off the street, I think, the way that things are going. But so Man City, your team, travelled to Turin on Wednesday, Champions League match day 6. Both teams have to be a bit careful here because both teams have got 8 points. Should be okay to qualify. 10 points is...
Yeah, but we're going to qualify in that awful playoff stage. Neither of us needs that.
Oh, right, okay. Well, those are first world problems, you see.
Yeah.
Juventus are taking qualification of any. But yeah, I think both teams should be fine. But the first question, I guess, the question everyone's asking in Italy is, Man City have been so dominant for so many years, but this season has been a struggle by your high standards. Last 8 games, if I've got this right, 1-1, drawn 2, lost 6. Why do you think that City have been struggling more this season?
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult but also kind of really simple question as well. I mean, if you think, like you say, City have won the Premier League for the last 4 years in a row, which has never been done before. And there's a reason it's never been done. There's a reason, the high-flying Manchester Uniteds of the 90s didn't do it, because it's so unbelievably difficult to maintain that extraordinary high level of everything, of your recruitment, of your training, of your medical team, of your mentality to maintain 4 years of that constant winning mentality. I mean, it's so unbelievably difficult. So to expect a team to do that for 5 years and then to be shocked that a team can't do that for 5 years, I find that a little bit crazy. But in terms of City, for me, what it is lots of small issues that individually in another year wouldn't have caused a problem, wouldn't have caused a scratch. But when there's so many of these little issues, they're now piling up into big issues. Mm-hmm. So for some examples, like obviously losing Rodri is an obvious one. But in past years, we would have survived because we had other players that were still at their peak and still fit. I mean, we brought in Kovacic last year, who was brilliant. Well, he's injured as well. So we lost Rodri and then we lost his cover. We brought back İlkay Gundogan, who obviously is a club legend, an unbelievable captain that we had in the treble year, but he's not the player that he was 2 years ago. He's still a great player, but he's not the player he was 2 years ago. Phil Foden, who obviously was the PFA Player of the Year last year, the best player in the league last year. Whatever has happened to him over the summer, this season he's been faced with illnesses, so he's got bronchitis at the minute. Apparently he had a stomach problem at the start of the season. Like, that is just, it's just the luck that starts to pile up. And then I do think as well, that we're getting to the end of a cycle of players. I mean, Kyle Walker's been taking a lot of stick online from City fans, which I think is really unjust given what that man has achieved for the club. But I also think it's okay to say that he's not the Kyle Walker of 3 or 4 years ago. And I think that's obvious because we're all aging. But if he's playing in a back four that is consistent, because obviously Ake, Diaz, Stones, Akanji, they've all been out at some point this season. In fact, for the Manchester derby next week, we've got 3 fit defenders. So it's just all the little problems for me that have accumulated at the same time. But it's not a woe is me. We're not asking for any sympathy or anything. Maybe we were lucky, in the year of the treble where we didn't have a lot. Well, obviously we had Kevin De Bruyne out that year, but where we didn't have as many injuries. Kevin De Bruyne, he's been out. He's only just come back. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, that.
No, I think it makes sense. And people do take for granted the success as well. It was the same with Juventus. Yeah. Juventus won 9 titles in a row going back in the previous decade. And now Juventus haven't won a title since 2020. And they definitely won't win the title this year either. So they're the champion. City are still the champions. So it's not that bad. But do you think that City can still recover and go on and win this Premier League or maybe the Champions League? Do you think there's still that possibility this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's still mathematically possible that City can win both. Do I think? I just don't know at the minute. I mean, it's happened before, but we would first of all need Liverpool to have an almighty collapse. And, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea that are above us in the league and that are looking good as, specifically Chelsea are looking really good. They're really going under the radar at the minute. So we'd need those teams to collapse, but those teams have collapsed in the past, so that could happen. at the minute, it just doesn't feel like City are in a place to go into a consistent run that we have done in the past of like 14, 15 wins in a row. Not saying that we can't do it, because obviously we can. We could do it. We could do it. Do I think we are? No, I don't think we're going to win the Premier League. But given the timescale of the Champions League, the knockout stages of the Champions League not kicking in until, was it February, March?
Yeah, exactly.
So we could well and truly have sorted ourselves out by then. So, I mean, for me, City could definitely win the Champions League this year.
Yeah, I agree. A lot changes as well between December and March, February, March. It always does. So, get your players back. We had Marco Materazzi on the pod a few weeks ago, and we asked him who we thought would win the Champions League, and he I can't remember who the other team was, but he City were one of the two teams anyway. Wow. So he's still he actually thinks that being further behind in the Premier League might actually help City, because they can focus more on the Champions League later. But maybe we'll see. We'll see. Erling Haaland, I want to talk about him because he's going to be probably the biggest threat to Juventus on Wednesday, and he was very close to signing for Juventus as a teenager. There's a famous picture of him and his dad at Juventus Stadium when he's about 17, and they were in negotiations. It didn't end up happening, and then he ended up going to Austria, Salzburg, and then from there.
Loads of clubs let him slip, didn't they? Loads of clubs have got this story.
I think him and his dad went on a tour around.
It feels like it.
Around everywhere. But I mean, according people I've spoken to told me that he was very close to Juve. But anyway, he's at City now, and he's a goal machine. I mean, he's probably the biggest goal machine in the world. I mean, for me, the two best number 9s in the world are probably him and Kane. I think Kane's probably maybe a little bit more complete, but I think if you want a goal machine monster, you go for Haaland. I mean, first of all, because we joke about this on the pod all the time, but can you confirm that he is actually human and he's not some monster built in a lab?
No, sorry, I can't confirm that. I've stood by him. Obviously, I did his first interview, and I've had the pleasure of working with him many times, and he's just a giant. He's a giant. Like he's in a room, and everybody else is just miniature compared to him. So sadly, no, I can't confirm that.
No, no. I mean, that's what I've always thought. I want to see proof that he is actually human. But I mean, what a player though. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I interviewed his dad a few times, and I said to his dad, because I have a 7-year-old son, I said to his dad, what did you do with him as a kid? Like, what could I do? What can I learn from you? What did you do with him that I could do with my son? And he said that he used to drink milk every night. And obviously that he still drinks milk now. You still see pictures of him. So I went back home and I told my son drinks milk every single night now. So maybe we'll... and my son's quite tall as well. So maybe that's the key.
So future City striker then in about 20... Where are we? 2035 maybe? Or
because of the milk.
Yeah, because of the milk. Well, we were always told as kids, drink your milk to make your bones strong, weren't we? So
that could be it.
So it's true. It's true. You got.
Yeah, he's great. He's phenomenal. He's been an absolute blessing, and I'm so glad that he chose us, and that we were so lucky that we have the history with his dad. And I think there's rumours going around that City are trying to make him sign an extension, sign a longer contract, obviously, which would be wonderful. He seems to be really, really at home in Manchester. His girlfriend is pregnant, and Manchester really seems to be a home for him. So I hope he stays with us for a long time. I think it's a really interesting season for him as well, because he is not getting the supply that he has done in the previous 2 years. I mean, in that season when he broke all the records in the treble-winning season. I mean, I can't remember how many assists he got from Kevin De Bruyne alone. I think it was about 11 or 12 goals combined for the two, the assists from De Bruyne to Haaland. This year, he's not getting the same level of service, but he's still the top scorer or one of the top scorers in the league. So I think this year we're really seeing a different Erling Haaland. On Saturday for the Crystal Palace game, his work rate was incredible. We're really seeing him give a lot more to the team, which is probably because he has to as well.
Yeah, for sure. If I could ask you about this Juventus team, I don't know how much Serie A you watch or how much Juventus you watch, but I mean, Juventus, like City, are struggling at the moment. 2 wins in 10. so many draws. Juventus have drawn 11 of their 20 games this season.
What?
Everybody's calling them draw Ventus. That's what, or Paregentos, which pareggio means draw in Italian. I mean, tons of injuries as well. Last week, Juventus could only field 2 outfield players on their bench. Like, it's...
we had that on Saturday. We had Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku and everybody, 2 goalkeepers and all the kids.
Oh, wow.
Same for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. I mean, what are your thoughts on this Juventus team kind of going into this game? Are you confident? Are you scared? Are you hopeful?
Well, I think Juventus, because of your history and your stature as a club, you have an air about you that always, especially at home, will always make anybody feel nervous. So obviously traveling to you comes with a sense of nerves, regardless of what you're saying. I have only been keeping an eye on Juventus in terms of the Champions League. Obviously, you had that draw against Villa, which makes a lot more sense now. You've told me that's all you do is draw. But the Champions League table just looks crazy. Obviously, you're on the same points as us at the minute. Real Madrid are sitting two less points than us. It sounds like we've got very similar problems this year with the amount of injuries that we're facing. For me, this is a must-win game for City. We don't want to be in the playoffs. We don't have the, and I mean, and I know you would be saying you would take it, but by the sounds of it, you don't have the players to deal with it either. No. So it's a must-win game for me. You know, we've got I think it's Paris Saint-Germain still to play as well. You know, we've got to pick the points up. So regardless of what you're saying about the injuries and your run at the minute, I'm really, really worried for us to go over to you this week.
That's fair enough. I'll get your prediction in a second. Just want to ask you one other question. Which Juventus player, past or present, would you love or would have loved to see play for City?
When I think of Juventus, I think of Pirlo. I mean, maybe for footballing and non-footballing reasons as well. What position? Where was he? Was he a number 10 or was he further back when he was with you guys?
With Juventus, he was like a deep lying centre midfielder, but like a playmaking centre midfielder. He started his career as a 10, actually, but then he went. Ancelotti took him further back, and then the rest. To
be honest with you, if I'd be interested in signing him right now, whatever his fitness levels are for City. Like,
yeah, I think Juventus could do with him right now as well. To be honest with you. Okay, I would say if I could just say which City player I would love to have at Juve, David Silva. I adored him. I adored that player. He was just a little.
We were blessed to watch him.
He was unbelievable, and then you've got Bernardo Silva, who was like a bit of a kind of regen of David Silva as well.
A bit of a cheekier version of David Silva is Bernardo.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Prediction time then. What's the score going to be then?
Oh my gosh, genuinely not a clue. We have to win. As far as I'm concerned, we have to win. We have to come and give you a game which could really go in your favour, because we're very defensively shaky at the minute. Again, coming to I don't think we've started the same back four in 2 games. We've Akanji's out, Ake's out, Stones is out. You know who our back four is going to be when you play us. And it is a little bit shaky at the minute. You know, Vardiol's having a tough season. We mentioned Kyle Walker as well. I mean, Ruben Diaz is phenomenal. He's your biggest problem there. Rico Lewis is a wonderful player that plays with all his heart. Obviously, he was sent off at the weekend, so that might be on his mind. So we have got to come and win, but I think that could play into your hands as well. But we've got to win this. I've got to go for a victory, and it'll be a tight one. I'm going to say 2-1.
Yeah, I think if someone does win it, it will be by 1 goal. I agree with you there. I mean, I think that Thiago Motta, Juventus manager, was asked about City's struggles, and he said there's never a good time to play City. I mean, I think it is a good time to play City. It is a good time to play City. Yeah. It's a good time, but it's also a good time to play against Juventus. And I look at, you mentioned your back line, I look at Juventus' back line. They've just lost, got another injury, Cambiasso. They've done some medical tests today as we record, so it hasn't come out how bad it is. I'm assuming he's going to be out. He's been Juventus' best player this season. So Juventus's defence, Danilo, former City player, is probably going to play left back because Juventus don't have a left back if Cambiasso is out. The right back's going to be a youth player who's come up, and so I'm worried about the defence. And then there's so many injuries all around the other areas of the pitch as well. So I'm not very hopeful, but
really, Even at home, does that not play in your favour?
It should do, but the problem is though that because Juventus have been so decimated, they've been playing the same players over and over again, and as a result, the players that are playing they're not fresh enough, and they're a bit flat, and we've seen that in the last few games. So yeah, I'm hoping for a draw. I know that's really negative. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm hoping for what we call in Italian a biscotto, which means biscuit in Italian, but in footballing terms, that means basically two teams play for a draw. Basically, they basically nod and wink before the game and say, right, we'll play for a draw. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping Pep.
We have that opinion of Italian football, now. We really do.
Well, yeah. I mean, Pep and Motta, I don't know. They were together at Barcelona, I think. Maybe end of Pep's time. Maybe Motta just joined. Maybe as players. So I'm hoping they'll say, look, we're on 8 points. Not a draw. I don't know. You're demanding a win, so I don't know.
We need a win.
maybe Pep will turn it down. But I'd say what Juventus do have in their favour is a good record against City. Juventus have played and City have played 6 times in their history. Juventus 3 wins, 2 draws, and just 1 City win, which came 48 years ago.
What?
Yes, 48 years ago. A 1-0 win. The goal was scored by. You probably would have worked. I think you would have worked with him actually. Any ideas? Striker.
48 years ago. So what year is that?
That would be 1976.
76.
1976.
That's 76. Okay, so that was just after our prime era. That was just after the Colin Bell, Mike Summerby. So who was in the middle of the set? Oh, I don't know.
Striker. He worked with City under Mancini. There you go. There's a big clue.
He worked with City under Mancini?
Yeah. Not a player, obviously. Not a player.
Really?
He used to play for Man United as well.
Brian Kidd?
Yeah, Brian Kidd.
No way!
Yeah.
Brian Kidd scored?
Brian Kidd scored the winner in the only game that City... Only time City had beaten Juventus, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, we should invite him as a guest for good luck.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should, shouldn't you? Yeah, you should. That would be a good one for your show before the game. And the last time we played against each other was 2015-16 group stage. Juventus won both games, actually. So, yeah. Hopefully a good omen for you, then.
Yeah, you're not making me feel good.
Right. Just to finish off, as a bit of fun, we play a rapid fire game with all our guests. So I'll ask you a bunch of really quick fire questions. You only need to give me a one-word answer. You can expand if you really want to, but one-word answer is fine. And we'll just roll through them really, really quickly. Okay? So to start with, pasta or pizza?
Pasta.
Right, I've actually got them here, so I'm going to hold them up to the camera.
Oh, okay.
This is from my family's cake shop. So, cannoli. Can we see that?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
There we go. If you can see that. So, cannoli or sfogliatella.
Oh, what is that?
That's a very traditional, famous Neapolitan pastry.
Oh, that I love a pastry.
You could go for sfogliatella.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They'll love you in Naples for that.
Yes.
For answering that. Cities, Rome or Venice?
Oh, I've been to both. Rome.
Rome, yeah. The history.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite style of football? Tippy tappy Pep ball or no tippy tappy Sam Allardyce ball?
Oh God, I'm sorry, Sam. It's got to be Pep Guardiola's tippy tappy football.
Big Sam is not going to be happy with you.
No.
Right. City can sign either peak Messi or peak Ronaldo.
Oh, Messi.
Who did you sign?
Messi.
Very quick.
Are we?
Very quick with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Italian footballer ever? You've probably already given that to me.
Oh, Pirlo. Yeah.
Pirlo.
Yeah.
Pirlo.
I was waiting for the option. Yeah.
Favorite Netflix or TV series?
Oh, I'm rewatching Peaky Blinders at the minute. I went back to the start. I'm in the middle of series 4 now, and that's just phenomenal. But I've got an eclectic taste, so like I'll watch Peaky Blinders one day, and the next day I'll watch like Emily in Paris. So I've got a variety.
Yeah, I love Peaky Blinders as well. Brilliant. Actually, in Juventus's last Champions League game against Aston Villa, because it was played in Birmingham, the crew that were covering it for Italian TV, it was 3 former Juventus players: Fernando Llorente, Claudio Marchisio, and actually not former Juventus player, Gianfranco Zola, and they were all dressed as Peaky Blinders.
Oh my god, I saw the
everyone's
meme.
taking the piss out of. Everyone's taking a mick out of them for what they're
Did
wearing.
you see the meme that someone said? I think they're all wearing each other's coats.
Yes, yeah,
oh my God, I was laughing.
We were speaking about this in the pod just yesterday. Actually,
brilliant.
Like they were saying that Marchisio, who had like this big Matrix style coat on, was wearing Llorente, who's like a giant, like 6'5", and then Zola was like wearing Marchisio's, and Llorente was like all brilliant. Penultimate question: you're having a dinner party. You can invite 5 guests, dead or alive. Who do you invite?
Pep Guardiola, Marilyn Monroe, my son. My son would have to come because he'd want to know what was going on. Sam Allardyce.
Okay.
And Beyonce.
Beyonce for the music.
Why not?
Yeah, that's a good party. That's a good party for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, final one. This is the most important one of all. This is make or break in the interview. Pineapple on pizza, food heaven or food hell?
Is this a debate? This is a debate, is it? I mean, very clearly it is food hell.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Okay, is that right? Yes.
That is most definitely the correct answer. If you say food heaven, you'd never be allowed in Italy ever.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's just a weird thing.
Yeah. To be fair, most of our guests do say food hell, but we have had 2 or 3 that have said food heaven.
I had a food hell when I went to Venice. I went to a little cafe and ordered what I thought was a margarita pizza and chips, and it was chips on the pizza.
No way.
Cooked into the pizza.
No way. They did that in Venice. Oh my God.
I mean, it was a tourist cafe, but still, I was like...
Who were the owners? Were they Italian or were they...
Probably not, eh?
That's mad. Okay, right. Let's leave it at that. Thank you, Natalie, so much for coming onto the show. I know you're really busy and really appreciate your time, and you were fantastic. So
thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you. Best of luck with your season and your injuries.
Yes, I'll say the same to you. Best of luck for the season. Not Wednesday, but best of luck
Give us that win, thank you.
For the rest of the season. Before we let you go, just quick, if you can just tell everyone where they can find you and your work, and also if you have anything big coming up, like if you want to promote it, then the floor is yours.
Well, I'm on Instagram and TikTok. I'm Natalie Pike presenter, I think, on them. I'm trying to get on TikTok. I'm doing all right. I'm posting more and more on TikTok. And then No Tippy Tappy Football. That is a YouTube. You can listen anywhere you get a podcast. And we are also on Instagram and TikTok with clips of the show, but me also trying to get Sam doing viral TikTok nonsense.
Oh, really? Okay, that would be great.
Yes, I'm always going, Sam, can I do a TikTok? And he's always up for it. He goes, right.
I can't picture him, but that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, So that's everything. Please do give that a follow. Give the podcast especially a follow. It's fantastic. Thank you everyone for listening and for watching. We will be back later in the week, definitely for our post Champions League show on Thursday. We might have something else for you. We'll see how it goes. But until next time, ciao.